Hi, it's Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, dwyervip.com, on Roku, Dwyer Boxing, and Sports News. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. I was watching the final press conference for the Tarver Steve Cunningham fight, and wow, did Tarver look in great shape. Right? Looked like he was fit, looked like he was ready. Now, I'm going to take a side after thinking this through a little bit. Understand, though, it's my understanding that this is a 12-round fight based on what's listed right now for the fight on boxrec.com. But I'm going to take the underdog here. The plus 150 underdog, Antonio Tarver, to win the fight. I'm not going to hedge the play, right? I think Tarver, who is in his mid-40s, right, is exactly the kind of fighter who will age gracefully. Understand, Tarver has never been a hand speed guy. He's never been a foot speed guy, right? He's an angles guy. It's a little bit different. Right? He's not a guy who has ever really relied heavily on his reflexes. Right? Rather, his game is to leverage his southpaw stance to be in positions where he can counter you and hurt you. Now, Steve Cunningham, an orthodox fighter, really relies on his athleticism. He's typically the superior athlete in the ring. He has a pretty good jab. He has great legs. He can move away from you. Doesn't really have to engage you that much. His chin has problems, right? Now first, let's talk about the angles guy against the athlete. Just understand that Steve Cunningham, in my opinion, is no longer the athlete he used to be. Right? I believe he slowed down a little bit. I don't believe he opens up as much because he knows if he gets hit, he's going to be hurt. So you're noticing lower volume in some of his fights, right? The Glasgow fight, he's lower volume, right? So you have a guy relying on athleticism who, quite frankly, doesn't want to open up to take advantage of the athleticism. Keep in mind, too, while Tarver is an angles guy not relying on reflexes, so while I believe Tarver ages gracefully, Steve Cunningham, a guy relying on speed and reflexes, to me is more susceptible to aging. And he's in his later 30s now. Right? So, I think Tarver is going to be able to cut the ring off on Cunningham. I think there are going to be times in this fight where Cunningham has to go flat-footed because Cunningham won't be able to land his jab on Tarver. Understand, too, Tarver's dealt with great speed. Didn't he fight Roy Jones Jr. 3 times? Right? Tarver knows how to neutralize speed. Let me also say, too, that Cunningham doesn't do that well when he's walked down. Look at the Tyson Fury fight. Cunningham gets off to a great start, knocks down Fury, then methodically gets walked down in that match. Now, while Tarver is not as big as Fury, understand Tarver is a big man. His last 2 fights have had him weighing over 220 pounds in both fights. He's a big man. Let's go back to the positive drug test, right? You have to research these drugs a little bit, right? Tarver fails a drug test after the Latif Coyote fight. Okay, fair enough. But understand, that fight was fought at 200 pounds. Right? The drug that Tarver was busted for is one that's supposed to help the body get rid of water. right? It's supposed to, decrease your water retention. Now that seems to me, I'm not saying Tarver was guilty or not. I understand Tarver appealed it. But if he were guilty, that seems to me to be the kind of drug a guy would take when he's trying to decrease his weight to make a weight limit in a weight class. Guess what? There are no weight limits in the heavyweight division. Right? If Tarver was cutting corners to decrease his weight, he doesn't have to worry about doing that here at heavyweight. Right? Let me say too, and I know it's paradoxical, in my opinion, the length of the fight, the 12 rounds, actually helps Antonio Tarver. Because I believe Tarver's the kind of guy who takes a few rounds to dissect you. Once he dissects you, it's all downhill for you from there. Right? So I believe there's a distinct possibility, especially given the number of times Cunningham has hit the canvas. There's a distinct possibility that Cunningham gets KO'd in this fight. Right? I think Tarver is going to dissect Cunningham. I'm expecting Cunningham to be gun-shy in trading with Tarver, who's a master at the chessboard. Right? Tarver's a guy who knows how to deconstruct you. Tarver's a guy who figures out how to prevent you from landing punches. Right? Then, what he does is he jumps from side to side. Look at the Danny Green fight. Right? He's not fully in the pocket. He's a little bit off at the side at an angle. And he starts hitting you when you're hurt. I believe he's going to have an opportunity to do that on Steve Cunningham after Cunningham starts fast. Right? If the fight is indeed a 12-round fight, I believe Tarver is going to have enough time to catch up and close the show. So I like Tarver here. I'm going to play it safe. The casino's giving me a plus 150. I'm not going to fool around with Tarver by KO. I'm just going to take the plus 150. Understand, a plus 100 means bet 100, win 100, and get back the 100 you bet. A plus 150 means bet 100, the casino gives you back the 100 if you win, then gives you $150. Right? Think about it. $150. You've turned that $100 into $250. More than doubling your money. Right? I like the underdog here, Antonio Tarver. But, to those who don't gamble, understand, what I'm recommending here is extremely dangerous. The site's really geared more for gambling types. Right? Understand you're picking the underdog. Understand you're picking the 46-year-old. Understand you're picking a guy who, had a draw with Latif Coyote and then failed a drug test after that draw. Right? You're picking a guy who hasn't fought lately. The level of competition that Steve Cunningham has fought, right? Cunningham's fought Tyson Fury. He's fought Mansour, right? He's fought Glasgow. Tarver, by contrast, hasn't fought those guys. Right? So, just understand, this is a high-risk pick. This is the high-risk part of the internet. I'm just going based on styles. Right? Based on skills. In my opinion, Southpaw Antonio Tarver should be able to win this fight, even though I admit, I concede, I recognize that Steve Cunningham has the superior foot speed and has the superior hand speed, and I'll concede he's the superior athlete. Right? This isn't a beauty contest. This is the sport of boxing. I believe Tarver is the superior fighter. Right? I like Tarver, the underdog, plus 150 to win this fight. Let me hear from you, especially those of you who disagree with me. I hope you make your case here for all of us in the comment section to this video. Thanks for stopping by.